When thinking about my great-grandmother, Janet Edgar, I have all these vivid memories of a slightly grumpy old lady with pearls around her neck. I can still hear the way she would yell up for her husband, but I also remember the sweet lady who loved nothing more than holding babies and sneaking treats to any dogs in sight. My great-grandmother, who I called Mom, struggled as a young child due to the harsh conditions her parents put her through. Thankfully, she overcame her struggles by creating a safe and loving home for her own children in Reisterstown, Maryland. My mom's childhood was full of struggle. She grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania during the Great Depression. In an interview with my grandmother, Cathrine Dwyer, she told me all about my mom and how,
And as a kid, she would have mustard sandwiches.
since they struggled to have enough money for meat, but her parents always found a way to afford alcohol and cigarettes. Due to their economic constraints, she missed out on so many key aspects of a childhood, and it forced her to take on adult responsibilities quicker than she ever should have. Not only did she struggle financially as a child, but she faced many hardships based on the relationships within her childhood home. This house was not a loving home. In a letter that she wrote to her sister June, she said,
Remember how we clung together, crying and begging Mom and Dad not to hate each other anymore.
her parents were heavily affected by the alcohol that they were constantly ingesting. It created a dangerous environment in the house. The girls would be
In for a long, bloody night.
She would walk downstairs on Saturday and Sunday mornings to the house being filled with the smell of cigarettes and beer. Her and her sister,
Both wanted more out of life.
her parents were either emotionally or physically absent, passed out drunk all Christmas Day. The girls were on their own. My mom once said,
I don't remember when my parents began their war against each other, but I do know the only prisoners they took were their children.
as much as she loved and adored her parents, their fighting and drinking made her childhood even harder than it should have been. Her life started to look up around the age of 13. This is when she met Bob, who she went on to love until the day she died. She started dating Bob, who I called Pop-Pop, soon after they met, and they got married when she was 17 and 10 months old. They had their first daughter, Cathrine, when she was 18, and it's unknown if she even had the chance to graduate from high school. A huge shift in their lives happened when my Pop-Pop's work transferred them out of Philly. They moved with their 3 daughters.
In 1957 to Baltimore. When they bought the house and she started to have her own stuff and nice thing, that's when she really started to make a home for her girls.
They went on to have 2 more kids, Rob and Tommy, who were 13 years apart in age. Eventually, the neighborhood in Baltimore got bad. It was filled with crime and peeping Toms, so they moved to Reisterstown and never left. While she was non-religious and had bad memories associated with Sunday morning church, she still worked hard and sent her kids to Catholic school.
She was always very proud of her kids.
She loved having family over at her house. Every December, she would have all 5 of her kids, plus their kids and grandkids, come together at her house for Cookie Day. Even after she passed away, the tradition she started has continued on. From the puppy she brought home at the age of 4 to her lovely Shih Tzu Lucy that all her grandkids loved, she cherished animals with her whole heart. Every morning, Pop-Up would come out and say,
Good morning, beautiful.
no matter how she was looking that morning. As she started to grow old, her dementia worsened and she forgot who her loving husband was. But she would still look at their wedding photo and talk about how cute he was. She struggled to feel loved as a child, but she did everything in her power to make those around her feel so incredibly special and loved. She once said,
I knew when I was only a very little girl that when I grew up, I wouldn't live like that.
through both hard work, a determined mindset, and the luck of the draw, she was able to overcome the struggles that her childhood handed to her and make an incredible life for herself and her family. She not only gave her family the economic stability that she never had, but she also paid attention and showed the people she loved how much she truly cared about them.